do. And then if you're a young person and you can't afford to live here, then maybe you should not live here. I mean, that is a real thing. Yeah, I know that we've now grown up in a society that says that you deserve to live where you grew up, but the reality is that the history of America is almost literally the opposite of that. The history of America is you go to a place where there is opportunity. And if the opportunities are limited here and they're not changing, then you really should try to think about other places where you have better opportunities. No one in the United States should be retiring at 65 years old. Frankly, I think retirement itself is a stupid idea unless you have some sort of health problem.
Shut the fuck up! I'm so sick of you cornball ass niggas trying to stay relevant in front of that fucking podcast equipment. Shut the fuck up! You want us to go to work and grind for the rest of our life while you sit in front of the thing and sound and tell shut the fuck up! I speak for everybody that ever woke up on a Monday morning.
We'll never know. Here, it gets worse.
Oh, what a surprise!
Mr.
What a surprise! Did you draw eyebrows?
Hey, does Groucho Marx know you stole his eyebrows? Look, he's got 7.2 million subscribers. He only got 154,000 views on that.
Yeah, what a surprise!
The first comment. I just realized your entire business model requires that us normal folk hate each other.
Yeah, right.
Well said. Because there he was, the evil revolutionary left cheers murder. You really turning this into that? You don't think there were right wing? There was no right wing. What are you guys? So they're doing that thing that they claim that lefties do. They're making everything a left-right issue. Everything I don't like is left, and it's about white males. It's nothing to do.
Hey, Ben, hey, war sucks. You know, as the great guy from Israel that I watched said, hey, war sucks. People die in it, you know? Hey, it's unfortunate, but, what are you going to do? Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Ben.
Yeah,
Hiroshima,
right.
Nagasaki.
What about Dresden? Hey, people cheer murders elsewhere besides just in Gaza.
Yeah.
Like the way you do, Ben.
He's a scumbag rich kid that is part of a real dark, evil thing, and that's why they're saying these disingenuous arguments, and that's why I'm sure it gets on your nerves when we have that guy screaming about, well, I don't know why you're doing a Trump, like accusing you of being right wing, because I know they associate with this idiot. I hate these people.
Well, I don't.
Daily, listen, if you're for business reasons saying this disingenuous shit, I really can't stand it.
Do you think he really thinks like this? Do you think he thinks these are leftists that are upset?
No, he knows they're not. This is on purpose. It's not like an honest mistake. It's on purpose. He's one of those old school. He's like a neocon. This guy. So neocons are the most slithering, evil pieces of shit on the planet.
So you're
by neoliberals.
You're blaming contempt for the insurance industry on the left?
Yeah. Hey, are you going to criticize Israel's socialist medicine, you dipshit?
This is like that Keir Starmer, the UK Prime Minister, when he blamed the immigration crisis on Brexit, instead of the elites trying to destroy the structure from within.
Yeah, Ben Shapiro's a scumbag. He's always been a scumbag.
The evil revolutionary left, and then it's not just the left, Ben. Yeah. 443 likes, right under in 3 hours. That was in 3 hours. 443 likes. Not just the left. So this guy looks like a right-winger.
You can actually see from who's talking about this, who's like paid off by who, I think.
All these, one after another, they're all saying this is clearly not a left issue. To claim it's just the American left that has been cheering this on social media is delusional. Sorry, Ben Shapiro, it's not just every comment.
Yeah, of course.
There's more. There's even more. I don't know why you're trying to keep pushing this as a left issue. It's clearly across the board.
I know why.
I just want to start off and give a special thanks to all my subscribers and listeners. You guys really are the reason I am able to continue doing this. In less than 2 weeks, we were able to grow from 0 to 170 subscribers because of your guys' support. Now I know some of you might be surprised, but yes, this is indeed my true voice. The reason I wanted to actually talk and for you guys to actually hear my voice is because I wanted to discuss something that has been going around my mind for a few years now, but has only grown as time passes. And what that is, to be precise, is how elites have divided all of us around the world to the point where many of us have lost our self-identity and purpose in life and can no longer do the things that we enjoy or even have a stable relationship with family or friends or neighbors because of how divided the world has become. Stability for life in the future is no longer a reality for the common norm in today's world. But just 20 to 30 years ago, those types of things were considered normal and obtainable to anyone that was willing to put the effort and work in. However, sadly, those days are over. We now live in a dark new age where the elite class gets to dictate everything in the world, gets to decide how the world should be in their image. And all of this is the result of the lack of education and deregulation for corporations, and most importantly, the lack of historical understandings of anything. These three key things, in my opinion, are why the world is in so much chaos right now. Well, I want to actually talk about the core issue and what we do for actual change, rather than just wagging my finger at somebody to just blame. In truth, the problem is neither the left or right, nor Zionism or Muslims or immigrants in general. The problem is the establishment elite who have tricked everyone into believing that these things are actually the issue, when in reality these issues serve as nothing but a mere distraction from the real problem. That is, lobbyists who lobby every politician to give them tax cuts while raising the taxes on everyone else and also giving them government subsidies, which is also, of course, tax funded from the middle and lower class. Private investment firms such as BlackRock and State Street and Vanguard, who are buying up massive property as personal assets with zero regulation, no restrictions on anything whatsoever, are the direct cause of the housing crisis going on globally, particularly in America, Canada, Japan, and many places in Europe, Spain, Netherlands, Germany, Ireland, Portugal, to be precise. Corporations like McKinsey and Company are directly responsible for fat trimming, which is, to be more precise, cutting costs for other sectors and industries. So whenever you see on the news boats malfunctioning and crashing and planes falling out of the sky, or doors falling off of planes and trains and buses, and entire buildings collapsing, just the total crumble of infrastructure, remember that these things are all coming from this. You also have the military-industrial complex lobbying every politician they can to get every war they want along every war, profiteering politician and retired generals, working with the Pentagon and using their access and connections as an advantage to screw the system for their own personal interests. Also, how can I not forget about the broken healthcare system that there is, where you basically have a private insurance company acting as the middle mafia man that you're supposed to pay for, so that way, if something were to happen to you or your family, they would cover your costs. To basically have them turn around and deny coverage for you despite if you had been a loyal client who had paid into them for years and on. It is simply morally wrong and no longer should be acceptable. Those are the facts. I've just decided to take a whole big minute dedicated to talking about the real core issues, but truth is, I haven't even covered half and probably could spend the next 2 hours solely dedicated to this subject matter, discussing the history and the causation of each issue individually. But that's probably another subject for an entire different video to discuss. Depending on how well this video goes and how much you guys want me to break it down, I will make a separate video explaining everything. So on to this video subject. You might be asking, what about and why Ben Shapiro? Ben Shapiro is basically the most popular mainstream figure who is constantly cheerleading and shilling for the groups of elites that I just discussed. His main primary goal is to gatekeep and defend the status quo's agenda and smear those who question it. I am going to play a small clip of Ben Shapiro's discussion he had with Coleman Hughes, who I respect. The two are going to be discussing the pain and suffering and concern of that everyone faces right now, and basically dismiss it as none other than grievance and envy to tear every institution down, which is obviously a dishonest statement to make as a broad statement to something that stems way deeper than just envy and complaining. So with that being said, take it away.
Okay, so lions and scavengers, is this a coded way of saying right and left, or
No.
are there lions on the left and scavengers on the right as well?
I mean, I think that there can be lions and scavengers, within the human heart, meaning that one of the things I say in the book is that every single person can decide in the morning to wake up and be a proactive part of their own life, make good decisions, not root themselves in envy, root themselves in a belief that they can actually do a dutiful and useful thing in the world. That's the lion mentality. Or you can be a scavenger, waking up in the morning, looking at your problems, blaming shadowy forces in society for it, and then trying to rip down those institutions. So it can even be reduced to the individual level. But when we're talking about the political, one of the things that I strenuously avoided in the book were the terms right and left. And what you'll see if you read the book is I'm not sure that I refer to the right, if it maybe a little bit and maybe once. The left, I think I refer to once, but it's certainly not a stark division. There's certainly people who would consider themselves politically right-leaning, people who vote Republican, who are enmeshed in a grievance culture against the United States, against the civilization, who believe that their personal grievances are the result of systems that need to be torn down without providing evidence that that's, in fact, the case. And there are people who disagree with me politically on taxes and gay marriage, who are actually quite proactive, who believe that institutions have to be strengthened, rebuilt, fixed. And so I really do not think that it is purely a political thing. I think that grievance culture tends to adhere more closely to left-wing ideology, but I certainly think that there's a part of the new populist right that is horseshoed around to join this.
Yeah, so if you think of someone like Elon Musk in the year, say, 2010, clearly he's a lion because he's a builder, but he's not really on the right at that time, right?
Correct.
So that would be an example. And then people on the what is called the woke right by some now that like to blame everything on, the military-industrial complex or global Jewry, this kind of thing. These are people that have a fundamentally grievance-based relationship to Western society. It's just that the enemies are different than the enemies.
That's exactly right. I mean, on the right, it manifests as a lot of conspiracy theorizing. One of the things I talk about, it manifests everywhere as a sort of conspiracy theory. And traditional biblical religion is actually, in many ways, sort of the anti-conspiracy theory. So if you think about paganism in its original form, it was the idea that, as Gloucester says in King Lear, that the gods, strike us down like flies for their sport. That is sort of the pagan ideology, and I would say the post-God ideology is that things happen randomly, bad things happen to good people. You can't control any of that. And then that is then projected into a conspiratorial idea that there must be forces beyond your reckoning who are out to get you. And you can see that on both right and left. The biblical worldview is actually quite harsh. It basically says that if you fail, it's probably your fault. There's a God-centered, ordered universe. If you do the right things, good things will likely happen. If you do the wrong things, bad things will likely happen, right? It's the entire book of Deuteronomy. And so the movement away from kind of personal responsibility and duty, that results in this very conspiratorial view of society in which, again, shadowy forces are out there and they're manipulating you. And if you don't understand that, it's because you now have almost a Marxist false consciousness that has to be opened up. You need to be black-pilled. You need to be awoken to the problems in society that you never spotted before. It turns out maybe America was on the wrong side of World War II. Maybe the moon landing never happened, because the normal kind of response to this nonsense is to say, well, America seems like pretty awesome. Right? You have all these grievances against America, but I mean, let's face it, America kind of kicks ass. I mean, we defeated the Nazis, we defeated the Soviets without firing a direct shot. We have created the single most prosperous era in the history of humanity with the broadest spread of wealth in the history of humanity. Like, we're kind of great. And so the answer to that from both sides is no, you're totally misapprehending history. For one side, it's the 1619 Project. And then, as some folks at Free Press have written, for others, it's the 1939 Project.
Right. So can you be a lion without being religious, or do you have to be grounded?
So, as you guys could hear from Ben Shapiro himself from that clip, apparently, your problems in society, every problem that you're seeing going around you or that you're having to deal with, it's all apparently because of your fault, a lack of effort on your end. And just a little bit more hard work and effort would guarantee you success or better quality in life. not the fact to mention that there are people out there, including myself, who work like 13 to 14 hours a day and can barely make it by, living paycheck to paycheck. There are people that go to college and pay millions and millions in college loans or in debt, and yet end up working in backward jobs, not getting a decent job. So apparently all that millions you've paid for college is now to waste because it doesn't guarantee you a high paying job anymore. You know, it's like every problem that you face right now, it all stems to the one part of group that is hurting you, and it is the elite and the establishment. And that can be proven by a multitude of facts. Like, for example, so if you can't afford housing and stuff like that, and the housing crisis is all around the world, it's because, like I said previously, that BlackRock and State Street and Vanguard and all these other private investment firms are buying up all the property for their own personal assets, and that's leading to a housing crisis in the market where people can't afford the houses because of all the corporations and firms buying up all the land. You have private insurance companies, even people that have paid into it for years and years and years on, being denied cover, and then end up dying. And even if the people that had paid for it, when they do get covered, they end up going bankrupt and stuff like that. Some of the prominent people that I could think of that happened to is like Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore had some illness in his throat, and he ended up being sick for a while, and he went bankrupt. And I believe he had like the best deal with Blue Cross, was it? Something like that. And he went bankrupt, you know, when he got sick. I mean, the simple fix to that would be Medicare for all, but I mean, because Medicare for all would actually be much cheaper. The only cons to it, out of the pros and cons, would probably be that you wouldn't have like as much of advanced medical treatments you can receive, because it will all be more distributed out. So they won't be like all the good doctors that you could pay money to go see and stuff like that. That thing would probably you would see less of that, but overall would be a much better thing for society in general, because more people could be treated and more people could get benefit from it. And you know, I'm someone like me, I probably consider myself more of a libertarian, a right-wing libertarian. So there's a lot of things that I'm conservative on, and there's also a lot of things that I'm like liberal on. So, you know, and I don't really try to call myself liberal or conservative, because I don't really believe in those things, in labels. I look at things case by case. I'm a case by case person. So on one thing I might agree with the liberals, on the other thing I might agree with the conservatives, you know. So that's just how I like try to look at things. And yeah, well, back to the point of Ben Shapiro though, is that this idea that the system and in the status quo is less to blame, and it's more, the earnest is all more on yourself, is completely asinine. Because back in my parents' age, in my parents' generation, back in the 1990s, even the 85, and even to the 2010 era. You go from, say, we start from 1990 to 2010 era. You could work as an assistant manager in, like, say, a grocery store, supermarket, and that would be enough for you to own a house, have 2 cars, and raise a family, and the wife wouldn't have to work. You could do all of that just 20, 30 years ago. Well, you can't do that anymore, and assistant manager won't even pay for all of that. And hell, I'll even make another example. You could work as a full-time employee at McDonald's, and you could live off of that. I'm sure, I mean, if you wanted to have a car and own a house, yeah, that would be a little bit more difficult, but yeah, you could still like, you could still make it through that. But in today's world, no way in hell is that possible. Absolutely not. So, I mean, that point right there kind of proves like what kind of like era and world we live in. And then that the earnest is not so much on yourself as it is on the system. And the system needs, and I agree with Ben Shapiro on this point that, yeah, we do not need to tear down the systems, but we need massive reform in the systems. People shouldn't have to be working 16 to 18 hours a day just to barely make it by, I mean, we live in 2025, 2026 now. This idea that you have to work that much just to make by is ludicrous. And if you're listening to this and you have any disagreement to that, I mean, Lord help you. I don't know what planet you're on. If you object to this, I honestly just think like people like Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin and all like the establishment defenders, Barry Weiss and just basically all these people like Bill Ackman. I just think these people are so detached from reality. They're so like so they have so much money and power, and they live a completely different life experience that they're so detached from what's actually going on with everyday common normal people that, I mean, they just don't know the struggle and shit. That's why they're able to make these type of statements, I mean, and these people are very much the problem, because I consider these people like Ben Shapiro and all people that I just mentioned, I consider them to be basically the mouthpiece for the elite and corporations, because these people constantly shill for them. They provide coverage for them. They attack and smear people that try to unite all of us, like Tucker and Jimmy Dore and all, etc. Dave Smith, people that are focused on the actual problem and trying to unite. What these people try to do is smear them, and they try to play identity politics. Like I just showed in the clip of Ben Shapiro when that health CEO shooting happened, was he immediately made it a left issue, even though there's plenty of conservative people and Republican voters who are being affected by the brutality of the healthcare system that's going on right now. So this is not a left or right issue. This is a common middle class to lower class issue against the establishment. And I think more people the more people that get on board and realize that, the better it will be for all of us, because now instead of fighting one another over cultural issues or this and that, we can actually get down to the root of problem, and we can actually fight the problem. And, here's a couple of ideas that I have for that. Is that, one, we need to stop voting for a politician just because he has a R and D to his name, when I mean like Republican, Democrat. And definitely people that take PAC money and corporate money should be a complete, definite hard no to vote for, because that means their interest is not in the people first, but the people that give them super PAC, which will be majority corporations, lobbyists and billionaires, etc., but people that do not have your interest in heart. And apparently the world we live in is where money just speaks louder than words. So the more money someone puts into something, that's always going to outweigh the words of a bunch of people, even if the words are larger in masses. But if the money is bigger than the amount of people speaking, the money is always going to win. So we need to figure out a way to get money out of politics and stop voting for every politician that takes PAC money in general. Vote for the people that are like, I don't know. I don't want to be like too specific, like Thomas Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Ro Khanna, etc. But people that don't take PAC money as a start. Vote for anyone that takes the PAC money. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say vote for anybody that doesn't take PAC money, but that should be the starter. Anyone that takes corporation PAC money should be a complete hard no, because they're always going to represent the donor class first. Whether that be APAC, Qatari money, pharmaceutical money, big oil money, all of it, pharmaceuticals, all of that should be a hard no to vote for. And if people start doing that, you know, you will start seeing the politicians take the people's interest more seriously, because that means they would actually have to get serious and decide what party in line that they're going to toe, and how much their constituents are going to tolerate them before they get voted out or don't get voted in. So, I mean, they won't be able to screw us. It'll make it definitely more harder for them to just keep going along this corporate line that they're doing. So that's idea number one. And I'm sorry, this one, I'm just speaking from no script. I'm just speaking from the bottom of my heart. So I might come off with a little bit more unnatural, but you know, I'm just speaking from my heart. And yeah, if you guys want me to actually make a separate video and break down like central banking and how the elites are screwing us, let me know down in the comment, and I definitely will. But yeah, the video I just showed you of the clip I showed you of Ben Shapiro and stuff like that, those are the people, the reason that shit sucks right now for everyone all around the world. And like I say, this isn't about, I want people to just understand that this isn't about people that are Zionists, people that are Muslim, people that are jihad. That's all of a distraction over the real problem, which is the elite that are just they're distracting all of us, you know. I just want to keep relaying that message, because I think that is the most message that most people need to hear. And unfortunately, sadly enough, that a lot of people don't seem to understand or get that one yet, you know. And so, I mean, this is my first video actually using my actual voice, so I hope people enjoyed the video, and let me know down below what you think. And if you do disagree, like, tell me where do you disagree and how you would deal with it, or what you think, because I'm very much curious and open to hear your thoughts, you know. I'm not saying that I have all the answers. No way in hell would I ever imply that, but I definitely do think the issues are much more complex than what people try to make them out to be. And I do think a lot of the messages we hear right now are nothing but division and a distraction from the actual real problems that we're dealing with. So with that being said, thanks for watching, guys.